Hello, everyone. This is Yoko speaking. I've noticed that a lot of information about what's happening in China often doesn't make its way to countries outside of China. So, I've taken it upon myself to gather information and share it in English. I gather information from multiple sources, so I'd appreciate your comments on the content of my videos. Also, English is not my native language, so I use an AI speaker to generate the audio to ensure that I convey the information accurately. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to my channel and showing your support. Today, I'd like to talk about the harsh realities of Chinese society. It's about a woman involved in the trafficking of young children who received a death sentence. Human trafficking is a heinous crime, and in this case, it involved the kidnapping and selling of 11 children between 1993 and 1996 in Guizhou province. The perpetrator, originally from Chongqing, first engaged in child trafficking in 1992, a year before the kidnappings began. Astonishingly, the first child she sold was her own. The sequence of events goes like this: at the time, she was already married, but her husband was imprisoned for some reason. She then met another man, who was also married. They had a child together, and during that time, this woman, in consultation with her partner, attempted to sell their own child for money. At that time, it happened in a remote region called Henan in Hebei province. In China, there exists a loose network for facilitating human trafficking. While child trafficking might not be as easily established as a crime in Japan, in China, there are networks where you can buy or sell children if you know where to go. This means that child trafficking isn't solely the work of child abductors, there's a network behind it. In this particular case, the woman sold the child to an intermediary in Henan for 5,000 yen. Back then, 5,000 yen was a significant amount of money, especially for those living in Guizhou province. So, selling one child could fetch a substantial sum. After this, the perpetrator continued to kidnap and sell children using the same route. Some of these children ended up in households of people with hearing disabilities, living under the guise of adopted daughters. Years later, in 2021, the victim, who was kidnapped at the age of 5, began using social media to search for her biological parents. Remarkably, she remembered their names and some scenes from her early childhood. She was also a member of an ethnic minority, which meant she had some knowledge of her relatives' names in her minority language. Through her social media posts, someone claiming to be a relative came forward. DNA testing confirmed their kinship, and it turned out that the victim had indeed been kidnapped and sold. She returned to her hometown, but by then, her biological parents had both passed away. The family that bought her had explained that her parents were too poor to care for her, so they sold her, but it was clear it was human trafficking. In this case, the kidnapper wasn't a complete stranger, they had some prior acquaintance with the victim's family. This suggests that the identity of the kidnapper was known, and with the right investigation, they could have been apprehended earlier. The fact that such a serious crime was left unresolved for 26 years highlights a major issue in China. Human trafficking is still prevalent, and the police often don't take proper action until public pressure forces them to do so. This is a severe problem, and it's crucial to be aware of it, especially for those considering traveling to or residing in China. China's lax law enforcement and the prevalence of human trafficking networks mean that once these crimes infiltrate a region, it can be challenging to eradicate them entirely. It's important to recognize that safety isn't guaranteed, even in major cities like Shanghai. Therefore, if you are ever in China or plan to visit, you should be cautious and well informed about these issues. Ultimately, this case serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing problems related to human trafficking in China. Many children remain missing, and law enforcement often doesn't take action until public attention is drawn to a particular case. This is a critical issue that needs attention and awareness. That concludes our discussion for today. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.